Hey yarn friends, welcome back to LlamaMamaKayla's Yarn Tube. Thanks for stopping by to see what I'm working on today. And today I would like to invite you to make this cat bag with me. It could be a trick-or-treat bag, it could be a purse, or just a tote bag. Anyway, we have a handle here, and we have the cat face on here. And this opens up and it would hold a lot of candy. It's pretty sturdy there. So, let's get started. I'll show you what I'm using on this. I'm using a 41 peg loom. I'm using this purple Craft Smart yarn. It looks blue on the camera, but it is totally purple. Black Craft Smart yarn. And then some various pieces of scrap felt and a little bit of white yarn. You'll need your loom pick and a tapestry needle. So let's get started. I can't wait to make this little bag. Here we go. Okay, so grab your 41 peg loom and let's get started. So before we begin, let's mark our pegs. We need to mark 4 pegs. This is peg 1, or my peg 1, so decide what is your peg 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So mark peg 7. I use some washi tape. You could use duct tape. You could use a rubber band around the peg or anything like that. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Mark peg 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So mark peg 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Mark peg 35. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. All right, and we're going to use 2 strands and make a slip knot. We're going to hold these 2 strands as one, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you do not have to worry about if your yarn twists or whatever, because each one of these strands is 4 strands twisted together. We're using this as 1 strand, so it doesn't matter if your yarn twists or whatever. So don't be concerned about that. And I'm using a strand from the outside and a strand from the inside. Oh, I see on camera that this yarn looks very, very blue. It is not. It is purple. Anyway, this is purple. But on camera, I can see that it is very, very blue. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to E-wrap all the way around the loom. Oops, we're a little over halfway. So I'm just going to continue to E-wrap around, and make sure when you're E-wrapping that you get both strands of the yarn around. Sometimes I'll drop one of the strands on accident. Have to go back and pick it up. Okay, so we have E-wrapped all 41 pegs. So we're working in the round. So what we're going to do is continue to E-wrap. I need to pull some more yarn out. So I'm just going to keep on E-wrapping. I wonder how I got two. Oh, Never mind. Oh, the dogs are playing. Okay, I've made it to the last peg. So now we are just going to yarn over all the bottom loops over the top loop. And this creates our E-wrap cast on. This cast on is also going to count as our row 1. So for our row 2, we are going to purl. And the E-wrap and the purl together create a garter stitch. And so we are going to purl a whole row. And then we're going to E-wrap and a row and purl a row until we have 4 sets. So I'm calling this the E-wrap row and a purl row a set. And so for this project, we need 3 sets actually. Right now, we need 3 sets of E-wrap and purl. And we're working on the first set. So I'm going to let you pause the video and go ahead and complete this row of purls, and that will give you 1 set. And then you'll need to complete 2 more sets. So after this row, you would E-wrap a row, purl a row, and you'd have 2 sets. Then you'll E-wrap a row and purl the next row, and you will have completed 3 sets of garter, the E-wrap and purls. So I'm going to meet you back when I have completed my 3 sets of E-wrap and purls. Okay, I have completed my 3 sets of E-wraps and purls. And so now we are going to begin another section, and this is we'll be creating the handle. We're going to E-wrap all these pegs up until the peg that we have marked. And so for this, we E-wrap this peg and this peg. It's the first 2 pegs of our handle section. And we are going to yarn over. And then we take this loop off and place it on the previous peg and yarn over the bottom. And we'll put this one back on the next peg. Okay, we're going to do that for this whole little section here. tighten our yarn. Okay, so we ear out. Take this loop off and put it on the previous peg. Yarn over the bottom loop up. And then remove this loop and place it back on the next peg. Alright. So we're just doing this for a short distance, just in between the pegs that we have marked, including the pegs that are marked too. They're part of the handle. Okay. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, and to be able to empty that last peg, we have to go one peg over and just do the same thing. Okay, so now we're ready to continue. And we're going to E-wrap. Until we get to the next marked peg. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to E-wrap these first two. Yarn over and yarn over. Okay, move this loop over to the previous peg and yarn over, and then move that loop back to this peg. Okay, we're going to do that same thing we did over on the other side to this side. This creates our handle. We're almost finished with the handle on this side. Okay. Alright, then we have to do one more peg so that we can clear the last peg of our handle. Alright, and now we are ready to continue. And I'm just going to continue on around, E-wrapping. And we're at the last peg. So now we want to yarn over all these E-wraps. Okay, and then for the next row, that was the E-wrap row. So for the next row, we're going to purl, except we can't purl the pegs that don't have anything on them. So we'll do something a little different on those. So we're going to peg these 6 or 7 pegs right here. Okay, so now we're at our empty pegs, and we are going to E-wrap one time around each peg. And then continue to purl. Oh, I didn't yarn over all these on the back side. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. I gotta get my yarn secure over here. Okay, these E-wraps are from the previous row. Alright, we're just going to E-wrap around to the empty pegs again. Did I say E-wrap? I meant we're going to purl around to the empty pegs. Okay, so now we're to these. I'm going to make sure my yarn is pulled out enough that I can continue to work. And we're just going to E-wrap around these pegs. I'm sorry. My yarn came undone there. Okay, so we're just E-wrapping. And then we're going to continue to purl. So this counts as a purl row, even though we did E-wrap the empty pegs. It still counts as a purl row. Okay, just a couple more pegs. All right, and we are through with that row. So let's push our loops down. Okay, and since that was a purl row, we are going to E-wrap this next row. I really can't get over how blue this yarn looks on this camera screen because it is so purple. Okay, just continue to E-wrap on around. Alright, so now we are back at the last peg. So we just E-wrap over all our pegs. Okay, so the next row will be purl row. And then we're going to do 2 more sets of E-wrap and purl. So this is a set, and then we're going to do 2 more sets. So this next row will be purl, and then we're going to do another E-wrap and purl. And I'll meet you back when we have completed our 2 more sets of E-wrap and purl. Okay, I finished the 3 sets of E-wraps and purls. The set we were working on when I paused the video. And then I finished 2 more sets of E-wraps and purls. And so for this next section, we're going to E-wrap. So just E-wrap all your pegs all the way around and then yarn over. And we are going to do 12 rows of just E-wrap. And I will meet you back when I have finished my 12 rows. Okay, I have completed 12 rows of E-wrap for the purple. So now I'm going to add black. I'm just going to tie this in. I'm going to push this knot all the way down to my peg, and then pull this again to make sure it's nice and tight, and then tie a couple of knots right here. Okay, and we can just clip these ends off. Alright, so now we are going to E-wrap with the purple, and we're going to E-wrap 18 rows. Okay, so your yarn is tied in on your last peg. So just come onto your first peg and E-wrap. And like I said, we're going to E-wrap 18 rows. So meet me back when you have completed 18 rows of the black E-wrap. Okay, I finished my 18 rows of black E-wrap. So now our project is ready to come off of the loom. And what I'm going to do is, we only need one strand to do the bind off. So I'm going to cut one strand, leaving a tail. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it just through here. I just pulled it through a stitch, and then I'm going to tie it to this. You can't tie it straight to this without putting it through the stitch, or you won't be accomplishing anything. So I just pulled it through a stitch from the side, and then I'm just going to tie it off there. And I'm going to leave that tail because I'll probably tie it off again when I finish the bind off. Okay, so we're going to do a flat bind off, and for this, it does take quite a bit of yarn. We're going to take our yarn and wrap it around the loom one time, two times, and a good half. All right. Okay, so to do this bind off, we're going to lay our yarn across the first peg and go to the second peg. You take your loom pick, scoop down, and pull that yarn up, all the way up. And then we're going to go back to peg 1 and scoop up from the bottom, grab the yarn, and bring it down, all the way down and out the bottom. We're going to do this all the way across. I'm going to show you a few more times. So you lay your yarn across a peg, and on the next peg, scoop up the yarn and pull it all the way through. Bring the yarn back to the previous peg and scoop it from the bottom, bringing it down all the way through. So I'm just going to do this all the way around. This bind off is a little time consuming. It is, it's hard on my arms to tell you the truth, they wear out. But this bind off is really worth it because it doesn't bunch up your project. Okay, so you probably got the hang of this by now. If not, you know that you can always rewind. You can always rewind a video or go back a little. You can always change the setting to play at a slower pace if you hit that gear button. So I'm fixing to leave you at this, and I will catch back up with you when I'm just about done with this bind off, so I can show you how I end the bind off. All right. Okay, so I'll catch back up with you. I've almost finished doing the flat bind off, so I wanted to show you what I do at the end. Lay the whole yarn over just like we've been doing. Now scoop this up, come back to the previous peg, pull it down, and this should be the last peg, but I'm going to go up this peg again, and then I'm going to come on over here and pull it up through the first peg that I ever did. Do that, and then they're all ready to pop your stitches off of the pegs. And you can see how much yarn we had left after, wrapping it around the loom 2 and a little over a half times. So you can see that bind off does use quite a bit of yarn compared to like the drawstring cast off. But we wanted the flat bind off because we want our bag to lay flat. So I'm almost finished getting these pegs off. The stitches off the pegs. Okay. Alright, so that looks so blue, but I am amazed that looks so blue because it is so purple. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to take this. I'm not pulling it because I don't want to pull this tight and close it up. I want it to stay open. So I'm going to take a tapestry needle, some kind of needle. I don't see my small one. Just take a needle and let's tie this off. And I do not see black yarn that well. I can't see the stitches, to tell you the truth. So I'm just going to do the best I can. Okay. And so whenever I make the bag and turn it wrong side out, I'll pull this in through the inside. But for now, I want to get some black yarn to sew up this bottom. And I'm going to just catch some stitches right here. And I'm going to tie my yarn into this. So I'm going to tie this one. Ooh. And then I'm also going to tie it to that strand that I already had. Okay, so that's my 2 tails that I'll be taking into the inside of the bag later. Okay, so you want to flatten out your bag and kind of hold it flat as you go. And we're just going to go through the bottom stitches. And just kind of whip stitch it together. And I am making sure that I get 4 strands of yarn on here because I want 2 yarns from this side and 2 yarns from that side. So just work your way down, whip stitch all the way across. You can see I'm just going through and picking up stitches, and some of them I might be going through twice. I can't really tell because I have trouble seeing black yarn. So I'm just going to do this all the way down to the end and then tie it off. And then I will be running the tail up through the inside of the bag. So I'll be back in just a moment to show you what I do. Okay, I finished whip stitching across the bottom of my bag. And so, you know, there's really no right or wrong way to do that. Just go through and pick up the stitches across and just whip stitch it together. Okay, and then I'm going to take my needle with the yarn on it, and I'm just going to run it through on the inside. And I'm going to do the same thing with these two strands here. I'm just coming in from the bottom. Just kind of going up in. Trying to pull that on through. Well, there we go. Okay, then I'm just going to turn my bag wrong side out. And I'm going to take this. I don't need that big of a tail. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to tie it off here on the inside. So right here in the bottom corner. Just going to tie that off 2 times. And then snip the tail. And over here on this side, I have a few strands here, and I'm just going to tie them together. And then I'm going to just snip those. I have one more right here. This is the outside of the bag, and this is the inside. So I'm going to take these 2 strands and go through to the inside. Okay, and I just want to run these through some stitches. My tails aren't really long enough to go back and forth too many times, but I'm going to see what I can do. And then I'm just going to snip the tail. So here we have our bag, but now we need to do a couple more things to it. And you can see the bag, even though it's E-wrapped, your candy's not going to come through that. It's fine the way it is. You don't have to line it or anything. Unless you had tiny, tiny pieces of candy, I don't think you have to worry about it coming through. Okay, so we're going to work a little bit more on this bag and turn it into a kitty cat bag. Alright. Okay, I found something about the size of the circles that I want for my eyes. So I'm just tracing this with a felt tip marker. And I'm going to cut those out. Okay, I'm just going to cut around this. And if you feel like you need to cut it any more, you can, make the eyes the size that you want them. And I'm sure you have something you can trace for a circle, whatever size you want your eyes. Everyone's will be a little bit different, because hopefully everyone will make it their own. And that's one thing I do hope for my videos, is that you will take my ideas and come up with your own ideas. Okay, to make the inside of the eye part, I'm just going to cut. I'm trying to just cut some material about the same height. Okay. Now, and then I'm just going to fold it over, trying to fold it kind of straightish. Cut something about that kind of shape. Now my second one may not turn out that shape. Let's see. I kind of want the shapes to be alike, so I might have to do a little bit of trimming up. Whichever one is the smallest, put it on top. And let's trim the bottom up to match. And, I know you can't see this very well, because I can't see it very well. That one still looks a lot bigger. So I'm just going to keep changing the size of it. I'm just kind of trimming it up. Okay, and then I need to cut some pink to make a pink nose. So I'm just cutting a square off. And let's see, I want to something like that for a pink nose. Okay. I feel like I got a lot of black fuzz on my yellow, so I'm going to wipe this off really good, and I will be right back, and we will put them on our cat face. Okay, I'm going to slip a magazine inside my bag, just so that when I glue these on, that none go to the back side. I haven't had any to stick to a magazine yet, but just to be careful, I'd rather it stick to a magazine that I can tear out if it was going to stick. But I hadn't had any to even stick to a magazine yet, so I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to glue these parts of the eye down. And I'm just kind of smearing glue all over this. This is a glue I got from Dollar Tree. And And it does glue this felt really, really good on here. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. As I was saying, this glue really does glue this felt down to yarn really well. Like, I was thinking it wasn't going to glue that well on there, but it does. Like, rubbing my hand over it, it was not even like flipping up or anything like that. Okay, now my little pink nose. Okay, and I'm just going to let those dry. Yeah, after they're dried and on other projects, and I've rubbed my hand over it, the felt doesn't like flip up or anything like that, so it's a really good glue for this. Okay, next we need to make some cute little ears for our kitty cat bag. Okay, so now we need to make some cat ears to sew on our bag. So I'm going to use a small gauge loom. It can be a round loom or any type of loom as long as it's small gauge. And we're going to use one strand of black yarn. Leave a little bit of tail that you might can tie it off later. And we're going to use 8 pegs. So just anywhere on the loom, pick 8 pegs. And we're going to E-wrap. 8 pegs. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we E-wrapped around 8 pegs. Now we're going to purl back all 8 pegs. And that is 1 row. Both directions count as 1 row for this little project. And we're actually going to do this row twice. We're going to do each row twice. Okay, so we did that row 1 time. Each direction counts as 1 row for this. So we're going to do this same row one more time. Okay, we got to purl it back to complete the second row. Okay, so we have done 2 rows of the 8 pegs. Okay, so for this next, we are going to bring 1 peg over, stitch over 1 peg, and a stitch over 1 peg on this end. Now, same thing, we're going to E-wrap. purl back on this. And this is the first row of having 6 pegs. Sorry. This is the first row of having 6 pegs. Okay, and we want to do one more row of 6 pegs. Okay, and now we're going to take in another stitch from both ends. Okay, now we decrease down to 4 pegs, and we E-wrap. Okay, this was the first row at 4 pegs. So we need to do another row. Okay, so now we're going to decrease down to 2 pegs. And same thing. And we need to do one more row at 2 pegs. Okay, and now we're going to decrease down to 1 peg. And we're going to E-wrap that. And go ahead and purl. And we are going to cut our tail long enough to sew our ear on. And then just cast off and pull your yarn kind of tight there. Okay, so now we need to sew our ear onto our bag. Okay, so now we need to sew our ear onto our bag. So I'm just going to lay it here, figure out exactly where I want to position it. And then I'm just going to pick up a stitch. And you just go in through the top part of the ear. And that's all we're going to do all the way down is pick up a stitch, a top stitch here, and come up under the ear and come through. And we're just going to continue to do that. And you know, if your ears don't look exactly the same, it's, you know, okay, because cats hold their ears different ways. So I don't think anything will be wrong. It'll just be your bag. And sometimes little quirky things like that is what really makes things cute. So if your ears don't look exactly the same, like I can see mine over here curves a little bit, and this one probably is not going to. But you know, that's perfectly fine. Okay, and then just come up the other side. And we are almost done with our cute little kitty cat bag. You know, whatever you want to call this, a trick-or-treat bag, a tote bag, a purse. Okay, now I'm trying to make sure this tip is sewn down really well. And then I'm going to tie it off right here. Okay, and then I'm just going to push my needle to the inside of the bag. And then what I'm going to do in here is just tie it off to an understitch down here. Okay, and then clip my yarn. I have one more tail. Now I can see what our little bag looks like. So here we go with our kitty cat bag. Okay, we can also put a little mouth area on him. So cut you a long piece of white yarn. I should have left the book in there until I done this part, just so that I have the book to hit and know I'm not getting the bottom side of the other side of the purse. Okay, I'm gonna leave a tail so I have something to tie back into. And I'm just winging this totally. I don't really like that. So I'm going to redo it. And that's the thing about it. We can always pull it out. And start over. So if you don't get it right the first time and like how it is, just pull it out and redo it. Okay, I'm gonna come back in here and kind of keep it lower this time. How do you like that? And let's see if I can just tie this together right here. And then I'm going to take these two strands and go inside the bag, but making sure I don't go out the back side. And pull these in. Okay, and then you can turn your bag kind of inside out and tie that off and do whatever you feel like you need to do in here. You don't want to pull it too tight because you don't want to mess up the shape of your mouth on the outside. And I'm just going to clip that and see how I like my mouth. Yes. All right, so we have completed our kitty cat trick-or-treat tote purse, whatever you want to call it. But I think he turned out really cute. I love it. We got a built-in handle here. And there we go. So I hope you enjoyed making this project, and I hope you would check out other videos on my channel. I appreciate you watching, liking the videos, and if you hadn't subscribed, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys. I'll see you again soon.